Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas. Our ongoing study in Paul and the Faithfulness of God by N.T. Wright. We're going to take a look at our summary triad recap of pages 175 to 197, which dealt with narrative, story, and signification. We're going to take a look at this triad recap and a Israel timeline. We're going to begin by taking a look at block 1, the text. And Paul did appropriate the larger Israel narrative by rereading the prophetic scriptures of Deuteronomy, Leviticus, and Daniel. And those texts help Paul to verbalize a new oral Torah and a new eschatological outlook. So that larger Israel narrative was taken up by Saul prior to his conversion. Block 2, schema. Knowing for Paul was both gnosis, ideal, and phronesis, practical and concrete. He did practice Torah intensification, and he did look forward to and posit the Messianic coming age as a threefold Messianic coming age of judgment against the corrupt, reckoning of righteousness for the entire creation, and reward for those who are loyal to the Torah, like the Shammai Pharisees. So, Paul did have tremendous influence of prophetic text. He did have the eschatological schema outlook of the coming Messianic age, and that helped him to develop his signification, his group of signs that defined his Jewish identity. Paul's eschatological intensification and trifold schema of judgment, reckoning, and reward next led to a deliberate ordering of signs. Those signs consisted of temple theology, returning doxa glory, hopeful apocalyptic conditioning, and the imparting of glory to the loyal Judaic believers to the Torah, and the concept, the extremely important sign of universal spreading out of the doxa glory, the spreading out of the elect people of God throughout all the world. Therefore, prophecy, political schema, and apocalyptic signs all worked together to define Paul's Jewish worldview. And then I got a little bit of a timeline here at the bottom for us to look at. It'll help us to recapture visually where Saul was situated prior to his conversion, because Jerusalem had suffered Babylonian captivity in 598 BC, but in 539 BC, Babylon was defeated by Cyrus of Persia, and he liberated the Jews and even supported the rebuilding of the temple. However, that return to Jerusalem was, from a spiritual standpoint, the Jews still felt empty. They didn't feel like the temple was filled with the doxa glory of God. So they were living in a suspended spiritual abandonment from their point of view because they were enslaved under Rome. And that lasted for 490 years, according to Daniel. It should have ended in 49 BC, but in 49 BC, sin took center stage, and the Hasmonean dynasty, which was extremely corrupt, totally defiled the temple and corrupted the temple. There was no end to exile, to spiritual exile. The Jews still felt abandoned. The doxa glory had not returned. So by 45 BC, they were actually occupied by Rome, and the elongated exile continued. They were in an apocalyptic state of anticipating the Messianic age when the true doxa glory of God would return. That's where Saul was situated. So Saul was informed by prophetic rereading of text. Saul was informed by a schema ordering of signs and a hope looking for the judgment against corruption, the reckoning of righteousness, and the reward of those loyal to the Torah. And that led to his signification, the signs that meant and mattered to Saul prior to conversion. So it gives us a great little recap here which I think is important to have this visual recap for this Jewish identity of Paul prior to conversion. So this one gives us the threefold recap of text, schema, and signification. Text, schema, and signification. That's prophetic text, and that's a threefold schema, and that's a collection of signs that eventually led to the sign of universal spreading out. So that'll wrap up our recap, a very important recap to have, and we're going to be beginning chapter 2 next time.